don't get that with this. I feel a story, and I feel characters, and I feel a through line, and I feel a story as opposed to actors being awesome. And to bring it back to Aaron's question, I don't think that it's necessarily the words and the play that make things that are older seem more important. I think I think they are great, but the thing that makes people think that they're better than anything else that could ever happen is the sentimentality. I think if you put Hamlet up against All Things Considered, the play that we've talked about a million times before, if we put Hamlet up against Angels in America, do we think that Hamlet would win?
That's a toughie.
I think that's a toughie. Honestly, in my humble opinion, they're pretty fucking equivalent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As far as the importance.
We should conduct an experiment and just get people who've never seen either.
And just do it.
But
but for me, as far as the importance of like relatability, the essential questions of the human existence, the essential truths behind the struggle of everyday life, goddamn, but if those plays aren't incredibly equivalent and incredibly important.
And if you put on a production of Angels in America, it's similar to Hamlet in that the language is heightened, and it takes a little bit more to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Hamlet is obviously a little bit more heightened, but I feel like if you're watching a production that wants to get across the human messages and not so much an actor on stage who's 45 and Hamlet.
Gross.
That's the worst.
The worst.
It's the worst thing ever. Just so that we've established, 45 in Hamlet is the worst.
I feel like
Not nearly as bad.
Unless it's Richard Burton.
I disagree because I think 45 in Romeo is the worst.
That's actually worse.
gross.
That's worse. That's worse.
Gross.
It's much worse.
But I mean,
Redacted.
honestly,
We'll fix it in
though,
post.
honestly, though, back to the message. I think that, to your question, I don't think that something being older is better. I think that sentimentality plays a part in that something that you've always known, that you've always loved. I know people who I respect who think their favorite musical is Oklahoma. And I know that they're wrong.
That's sentimentality. That's
That's sentimentality. And I think it plays a part, but I think truly the test of time weeds that out.
I agree with that, and I think that if it is like a large group of people who are pushing this piece throughout history, not pushing, but you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
sure.
Like, it's not all of them, obviously, who are all just sentimental.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just...
Well, I think it's really interesting because you're going to get, if we did the social experiment and put on a production of Hamlet right next to or in the same building as a production of Angels in America, I think we would probably see the same numbers, but they would be completely different audiences.
I completely and totally, with every fiber of my being, disagree.
I think there'd be
I
different
think they'd be
audiences.
exactly the same audience.
I think you're going to reach a different demographic for Angels in America than you're going to reach with Hamlet, but you're going to reach just as many people.
I feel like it would be a different audience entirely if you did Hamlet and Oklahoma in the same
Yeah,
film.
That's This is also okay. I understand what you're saying. With, let's say, are you saying people who don't know either of the stories
Right.
beforehand?
People who just don't know what they are.
People who don't know what they are, and let's say they read the
Hamlet,
the
William Shakespeare. Yeah,
okay. All right.
the
Yep.
prelogue, whatever, what do you call
Yeah,
it?
people who know
Yes.
theater, I think would go to both. I think people who don't know theater, who
If you
looked at
gave
what
them
they were,
kind of the gist of each of them,
Yeah.
you are
there would
right.
be
There is a
completely different
group,
audiences.
I think, who would go to both.
Okay, so
I don't know.
Man visited by ghosts.
are
Wait,
you
which one is that?
are you
That's both of them, though. There are
Angels and Angels in
No,
America.
but I mean, along with the way it's
I get
spoken.
that though, yeah.
I'm saying if they were saying, okay, this is a Shakespeare show.
Or as opposed
I think
to people living in New York dealing with situations of the time in the 90s, as opposed to Hamlet's father is murdered, and I think you're going to reach a
But
different audience.
that's not. I mean, when you're gonna market Hamlet,
Right.
and
Well, you wouldn't market it that way.
If you're
Okay,
gonna market Hamlet, you're not gonna market it about the ghosts. You're gonna market it about the existential question.
To the issue, I'm sorry. About the issue of sentimentality, which is what your question was about.
Right.
I think what my point is I'm very sentimental about cats. Wait! Cats!
I'm gonna get you a shirt with that on it.
Thank you. Cats
And you
is
have
not,
to wear it.
is not going to stand the test of time.
No, it's not.
I think that's where sentimentality comes
No,
Okay,
you know
I
what?
have a-
I'm
It
sorry,
might.
I really need to do this.
What?
Brian, just give me 3 seconds.
All right.
Because I'm about to do
It's going
2
to.
things that I regret.
You're gonna say it, aren't you?
I'm going to stand in defense of both Cats and Oklahoma.
Oh, God.
What's wrong with you?
Hey, you know what the Cats has? Memories.
Memories. All
Right, the
alone.
movie.
And
Emma, go on.
Cats dancing.
so here's my thing. Oh God, it had to have been like 7 years ago. I was sitting in my Aunt Mert's living room. She is now dead. And Aunt Mert was eating candy with me, and she leaned forward and she said, "Here's the thing that I don't think you realize. When I watched Oklahoma for the first time, I was offended." And I thought to myself, wait, what? Why? Like, what can you even find in Oklahoma that's offensive or new or surprising or right? And then I started to think about Ada Wanney for a minute.
Woo.
And her character is so, for a woman like my wonderful, beautiful Aunt Mert, who grew up in the 40s, surprising. Here's a woman who all she ever thinks about is sex.
Yeah.
And, I'm just a girl who can't say no. And it doesn't matter who she's going on a buggy ride with. She's just going to go in for the pleasure and come out for the fun. And it was shocking. It was shocking at the time. And it changed the definition of theater, but not just the definition of theater, the definition of pop culture. And here I go.
But that doesn't mean it was good.
It does, well, but it was important.
It is important. I think there are lots of. I think there's a good distinction.
And I think that there's a
good.
difference-
Good is a matter of taste.
Good is
I don't think
subjective.
you
I
can-
think
Good is
there's a
subjective.
difference. I think there's a difference between, is it standing the test of time because it's important, or is it standing the test of time because it's sentimental?
Yeah. Okay.
And I think that there's
There
a
it
huge. That's not the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that Cats also was. God, I wish I wasn't saying
Say
this
it.
out
Say
loud.
the words.
Historically, performance perspective, important. It was the first time anybody had done anything like that. It was the first time we'd seen makeup effects like that. It was the first
Yeah.
time we'd
And
seen
that's the
dances
thing,
like that.
longest, still to this day, it's the longest
Didn't
running.
it just close?
No, it
No,
goes
it's getting revived.
But
It is the longest.
I don't
one.
know,
Yeah.
but I think
It-
it's the
Right.
longest
Did
running.
Phantom beat it?
Phantom Speed.
I don't know.
But
but
just
I-
barely.
Whatever, it's
Around
one
there.
and two.
Whatever.
Who cares?
But the thing
It's
is,
great.
but the thing is about it is that there's a difference between sentimentality and importance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I have a follow-up question before I get on to
Yeah.
our last few things. Well, do you think that in what we've been just talking about, is history going to be more objective than, say, we individually are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
obviously.
like,
Of course.
do you think? Okay, so you're incredibly attached to cats.
Yes.
Is history?
No. Well, maybe because it was so long running and so important.
Agree. I
Yeah.
think that history will.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that you'll be sitting in a modern drama class in 3015 and that you'll read the script of Cats because, I mean,
Because
first
the
of
world
all-
will have ended by
has
that time.
anybody
but-
actually
I-
read the script of Cats? But you're going to talk about the importance of suddenly choreography and makeup over storytelling.
I think a great example in this is Book of Mormon. It is a great show. People enjoy it. It's not going to stand the test of time, mostly because it deals with specific subjects that are not going to be important in 30 or 40 years.
It's going to need a dramaturg in 20
Right.
years.
If in 20 years people are going to be like, what were they talking about there? It deals with specific things that were really funny right now. We all enjoy it. It was really great.
But I think it might be glossed over in a history book, you
Right.
know, in 20 years from
Like,
now,
sure.
saying like, hey, this guy was writing cartoons.
Right, and he did this.
And then he decided to switch over to this and
Yeah.
modern,
Yeah.
like pop culture and the way that they spoke and
Right.
how offensive it should have been at that time, but didn't end up to be
Right.
being so.
But I don't think it's one of those things that
because
you just
it
revived over
offended
and over.
everyone,
Right.
But I think it will be mentioned that this guy
Yes.
did this because this is what they needed.
Because it was a turning point for musical theater.
Yeah, and having the pop culture and
Yeah.
the people, having those people who are watching those cartoons and comics and whatnot, getting them over into the theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a thing. Wait, please, may I?
All right.
My thing?
First you, then Ashley's original thing, and then we're done with
Oh,
this.
I think I'm done with that.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, wait.
A wonderful example of something that has entered history books but has not necessarily withstood the test of time is the jazz singer.
Yeah.
Nobody in this room, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb here, nobody in this room has ever seen the jazz singer.
I had the movie.
I have no idea what that is.
What, Neil Diamond, right?
The jazz.
No, I'm talking
No,
about
the jazz singer was
movie.
the
I have
first.
the movie.
The
The first talkie.
ever
Oh,
talking
I thought you meant
movie.
the
Oh.
jazz singer, the
No.
The Neil Diamond
it's-
movie.
No, it's Al Jolson in
Al
blackface
Jolson in blackface. And the thing
doing
about
a minstrel show.
Right.
the thing about the jazz singer is that it is incredibly historically significant. It is so important. Suddenly we could have a sound attached to film, and not only that, but the story itself was significant. It was about a Jewish jazz singer who performed in blackface and his struggle to be connected to his family and
Oh, that's
the
basically
way
what
that
Neil
his
Diamond's movie is
family
about.
the way that his family rejected him throughout his performance career, and it was loosely based on a sort of semi-autobiographical situation, and it changed forever the definition of performance. Changed forever the definition of performance, but nobody watches it. It's still historically significant, but nobody's read it. No, I mean,
I'm gonna be completely honest. I've had the movie for forever, and I've maybe watched it the whole way through. I don't think I've nope. I've not
half the
watched it the
time?
whole way through. I've watched it I watched bits and pieces.
right.
Is it like how
Yeah.
like one of the first films is Birth of the Nation,
Right.
and nobody watched
Nobody
it?
watched
Or Metropolis. Like, it's out there,
and
and it's important, and we know
We-
Metropolis is important.
Yeah,
But we're not gonna
everyone
watch
in
it.
this room has a degree in theater and how it has developed, or at least a minor in theater and how it has developed and how it is significant to the world, and we still haven't really